Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Liu. I am a mental fitness coach. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's video where I talk about how to build mental fitness. Now, this week I thought we would shift gears a little bit. I won't be talking about the core concept of mental fitness, which is about weakening the saboteur and strengthening the sage, but we will be talking about a topic that is really important that I think has a lot of impact on all of us and that is very much related to the saboteur and the sage. And that is the concept of money or the investment of money. And I really want to thank one of my viewers for giving me this idea because he said, well, I think you've had a lot of success with investing money, right? So why don't you do a video about it? And at first I said, well, I mean, yes, I've been investing for a while and I've had some success, but I can't really claim myself as an expert. But then I thought, why not? Why not talk about it? Because it is, I believe, so important, whether we want to admit it or not. And in my own experience and in working with my clients, I see that money is probably the area that triggers our saboteurs the most. Because if you think about a lot of your negative emotions like stress, anxiety, worries, probably a lot of them came from somewhat money related areas, right? Whether it's I feel like I don't have enough money or, what job should I take? Should I take the job that makes more money or should I take one that I like more? Or maybe you're even in this area of like considering, do I want to continue to stay in this job and make a very good money, or do I want to do something that I'm more passionate about, which is a theme that I see has come up quite a bit with my clients who work in the corporate world. And this was the journey that I went through. Or maybe you're thinking about, how much money do I need to retire? Or will I ever get enough money for retirement? And, or, do I have enough money for my kids' school, et cetera, right? So I think we can all probably relate to some form or another of these concerns because I know I've certainly been there and I still deal with it once in a while. And if you don't have those worries, that's fantastic. That's really great. And I would love to hear your comments about how you manage your money so that you don't trigger your saboteurs. So that's why I thought maybe I'll share with you some of my experience, what I have learned over the years, because all the theories about money I have learned are through books that I have read and I've implemented into my own life. So I feel like I have a little bit of experience talking about this topic. And if you have some different views, I would love to hear them. And I hope if it will help you a little bit for your own journey. And so let me share some slides with you today because I actually made this some time ago. This was in 2018, at the end of 2018. So a little over 2 years ago when I was traveling with a company called Remote Year. And I made this slides with one of my friends in the group because both of us have had some experience with investing. And we gave this presentation to other group mates in the group, as well as the people in the co-working space that we were working in. This was in Cordoba, Argentina. And so I made some updates, but I think a lot of it is still very relevant. And I will break this up into a few sessions because I can't complete it all today. And I do feel it's a lot of these concepts are worth talking about in some detail, especially if hopefully you'll find it helpful. All right. So let me bring up my screen. So when we talk about money, I believe it's important to use the framework of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I think many of you might be familiar with it. So Maslow um, is a psychologist, and he came up with this theory, this pyramid of the needs that we have as humans. And he broke it down into these three categories and five ladders or five sections of the pyramid. And he basically put it into basic needs, which are your needs for food, water, warmth, and rest, as well as security and safety. And then once you have these needs met, then you're able to fulfill higher level needs, which are psychological needs such as belonging and love. So the need for intimate relationships, friends, and the feeling of prestige, of accomplishments. And then once you have these needs met, then the next level or the highest level is this self actualization. So achieving your own full potential. Now, remember when we were talking about the sage, we said, well, if you're able to step more into your sage and get out of your saboteurs, then you're able to achieve your full potential more. So that's exactly what this is. But as you can see, that's at a pretty high level. So you have to have all these basic needs met as well as psychological needs met for you to even want to have that idea of achieving your full potential. And so, where do I see money fitting into this framework? I really see money as helping us to meet our basic needs, right? Because whether we like it or not, money is the form of transaction or form of means for transacting what it is that we need. So if we need food, we need water, we need a place to live, we use money to buy it, right? So that's why I think money is very important, and it triggers so much of our saboteurs if we don't have it. Because think about it, if you don't have money, then you feel like your basic needs are being threatened and your survival is being threatened. And remember, the saboteurs, they sit in the survival part of your brain. And so when you don't have money, you are constantly feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to survive. Because that's what the saboteurs think. Because ultimately, the saboteurs don't want you to die. And if you don't have money and your basic needs are not being met, you might die. And that's a really scary thing for the saboteur part of the brain. And that's why it is such a important thing, but also kind of a funny thing because we all have different views about it. And it can be so triggering for a lot of people, for most people, I would say. And then once you have enough money, I feel like, then what you can do is to fulfill these higher level needs, because then you don't have to worry about the basic needs. So you can use money as a way to quiet down some of these saboteurs, because they're there for a reason, because it's very valid. If you're not going to have the next meal or you don't have a place to live, well, it's very valid for you to get stressed and get concerned, because then it will help you to do something about it, right? Because we say, saboteur feelings, they are useful because they alert you to something is going wrong. So, but if you do have enough money, then you don't have to have those worries, or at least on on paper, in theory. And then we can talk about, there are some fears that are created, that are in your mind, that may not be because you really don't have the money, but it's just you're fearing that you might not have it in the future, that was in my case before I left my corporate job, because I made this spreadsheet to say, well, if I hit this number, then I can leave this job and do something that I am more passionate about. And then I hit that number and I still couldn't leave my job. So at that point, those were other saboteurs, such as probably the hypervigilant, that was coming in to say, well, even though you have this money, but what if, it created all these different scenarios of how all this money is going to be gone. I'm never going to get another job. I'm never going to make money. And so whatever money I have now is not enough. So so that's why in my own experience, what was really important for me to make this transition between my corporate job to working for myself now and being a business owner was really having this financial security, or feeling like I have enough to sustain me to fulfill my basic needs for a period of time, so that I don't have to worry about it. And then I went on the journey of the self-discovery of overcoming my fears, to look at some of these kind of phantom fears that were generated by my saboteurs. And that's what I see a lot in my clients. For those who, have been in their job for quite some time. They're making good money. They're really successful there. And at the same time, they're asking the question, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? And they're having this feeling that this may not be the thing that really gets them going. Like if they had just unlimited amount of money, they wouldn't be doing this job. So then they have something else that they're more passionate about, but because of the need to make money and to have that financial security, they're still staying at their job. So, that was me. For before I actually left my corporate job, I started thinking about leaving 3 years before that. So, but that was a good amount of time for me to get myself to feel financially secure, that I could do some of this other work to figure out what it is that I really want to do and to actually do it. So that's another reason I think, money is such an important topic, especially when it comes to allowing us to get into our sage more. Especially if you are in this space where you're thinking about perhaps a career switch and you're wondering, how come I haven't been able to do it? And this is why. And it's a very, very valid reason. So don't beat yourself up if you've been contemplating doing something else and then you just haven't been able to do it, because this concern is real. Okay, so that's my view. And then I want to talk about, so if we say money is so important, then how do we make money, or how do we make money not an area of concern, so that you can feel like your basic needs are met, and then you can pursue some of these higher level needs. And I want to use this quote by someone who is much, much smarter than me, who is truly an expert in this area, and that is Warren Buffett. I think many of you know him. And he has this quote that says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And if you think about it, that is very true, because many of you are probably saving for retirement, or you've been doing that. But imagine if you didn't do that, right? You will have to work until the day you die, because you continue to have those physical needs that need to be met, basic needs. And so here, what I want to talk about are ways that you can make money while you sleep. And it's things that I have done in the past, I would say 17, 18 years since I graduated college. And I've been doing it consistently, and it's generated me some success. Again, I'm by no means an expert, and I know there are people out there who are much, much, much more successful than me. But I thought I would share with you my experience in case, you haven't really been reading up about, how to make money while you sleep. All right. And I thought I would also share with you some of the books that have shaped my investment philosophy. So, like I said, none of these theories come from me. They all come from people way before me who have had really great theories. So, the first one is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is an old book. I read it when I was in college, so like 20 years ago, and I think it might have come out even before then. And it really kind of gave me a different view about money, about how you can think about kind of financial freedom. And, it made me question, like, do I really have to work for the rest of my life to have enough? And then, so this is by Robert Kiyosaki. And then another book, also by the same author, is called Cash Flow Quadrant. And this taught me about the 4 types of people, which I will get into much more detail. And then the next one, which is a bit more recent, this is maybe read it 6-7 years ago, is called Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. This is actually the first time I got to know Tony Robbins, even though he's not really a money guy. He's a personal development guy, but what he did was he interviewed 40 of the biggest experts in the financial money investment field, and he condensed their theory into this book. And so Today, if anyone asked me to recommend one book for money and investing, I would recommend this one, Money Master the Game, because it's very comprehensive. So even though a lot of the concepts he talked about there are the ones that I already kind of knew, but it was a really good reminder. And then the new concept that he talked about is this concept of financial freedom, or the 5 levels of financial goals that you can think about. And so that's been really useful. So I'll talk about that as well. So these are just some books you can write down. I'll put the link down below as well. If you haven't read them, I highly recommend that you check them out if you're interested about money and investing. And so I would like to talk about 4 concepts with you. I won't be able to talk about all of them in this video because I do want to get into some detail. But today I'll talk about the first one, which is the concept of the 4 types of people. And then next week I'll talk about the power of compounding, which is probably the most important concept when it comes to investing. And then I'll talk about asset allocation, or you can call it diversification. And finally is the 5 financial goals that Tony Robbins talks about in his Money Master the Game. Okay, so first about the 4 types of people. So Robert Kiyosaki in his book Cash Flow Quadrant said that there are 4 types of people that you can put into these 4 quadrants, which are employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. All right, I hope these are self-explanatory. I think maybe the only distinction I will make, and he actually goes into quite a bit in the book, is between the self-employed and business owner. And so the difference between the two is the self-employed is trading time for money, whereas the business owner is getting returns that far outweighs the time he contributes to it. And the other distinction is business owners usually hire people. So they may not be the smartest person in each of these areas that they need to accomplish in their business, but they'll hire people that are smarter than them to cover the areas that they don't have an expertise in. Right. So your typical self-employed is kind of like the restaurant owner, the mom and pop restaurant owner, who will work a lot of hours, who spends a lot of time, but maybe getting a little bit more money than the employee, and sometimes not, but spends a lot of time working. And the thing to really note here is, even though employees and self-employed, they make up 95% of the population, they possess about 5% of the wealth. Whereas the business owner and the investor, they make up 5% of the population, yet they possess 95% of the wealth. Now, this book was written, probably 20 years ago. So you may say, well, these percentages are shifting, and that's fine. But I think this is just to illustrate a principle or a concept, right? The exact number, it may not be exactly like this. So I talk about this as the first concept because I think this is important for you to just think about it. Which category are you in now? And then which category do you want to be in? Now, for me, before I became a coach, I was in this category of employee. And by the way, you don't have to be just in one category. You can actually be in multiple. So I always thought of myself as an employee. I was in the corporate world for 14 years. And only recently did I start to consider myself as an investor. But when I thought about it, I said, well, actually, I've always been investing. Starting from college, I invested a little bit in stock, but I started more consistently investing from after college. I opened up a Vanguard account, started some mutual funds, and then started buying more stocks and then ETFs. And I kind of diversified into gold. And now I also have some cryptocurrency. So when you do anything like that, that means you're an investor. Or even if you have just a 401k or like any kind of retirement fund, that is investing. So think about it as investing. Or if you own a house, right? And you've contributed principal to it, that is investing. And so I was an employee and investor for many years. And now I am self-employed because in my coaching business. And then at the same time, I'm a business owner. So I own a lodge and retreat center in Peru. So that's my business. And I can also consider, coaching is my business. And at the same time, I'm still an investor because I still continue to invest in all the things that I mentioned: mutual fund, ETF, stocks, crypto, etc. And also real estate. So so this is the first concept, and I just um, want you to have a think about which category are you in now and which category do you want to be in. And in this book, it's really making you think about, okay, to get out of these categories, employees and self-employed, and get yourself into the business owner and investor category, because that means you have a opportunity of claiming 95% of the wealth. All right. And then before I close today, I thought I would share a few more books, because the previous three that I mentioned, they're more kind of in the category of the practical aspects of investing. Um, Whereas these books that I'm showing here, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, The Secret to Attracting Money by Joe Vitale, and then Money and the Law of Attraction by Esther and Jerry Hicks, these are more in the mindset space, which I think is also really important. But I only started reading these books more recently, because I think for me, the progression was I first needed to know the practical aspect of, doing the investing and getting myself into that, getting on the road to being financially free before I was really kind of feeling the need of that self actualization. And these books are kind of more, I feel, when you have all the other needs met, then you're ready for that self actualization. And these books are really, really useful. And I'm not saying you have to go in the order of one or the other. It's great if you can, get into both areas. But I guess I'm just saying, in my case, it was good that I got into the practical space of the how to first. And then now I'm kind of expanding my mind a little bit more, and it's more aligned with what I'm doing now with, just kind of my spiritual journey, and just really wanting to get more into my sage and quiet down my saboteurs, and also realizing that I was kind of hitting a plateau with, thinking about how much money I can have. So these books really help me. Like the Law of Attraction, for example, it's talking about you need to put yourself in these good feelings, which is getting into your sage. So have less of the saboteur feelings, more of the sage feelings, to really get what you want. Because let's say, you imagine you want a lot of money, or enough money to not really worry about money anymore, right? If you got to that place, imagine how you would feel. Is it freedom? Is it joy? Is it peace? Is it excitement? Or whatever that feeling is, it's probably one of those really good feelings that comes from the sage. Now, if that's the feeling that you want, now you're not going to be able to get there if now you are feeling, anxiety, worries, shame, stress about not having money. So that's why you need to put yourself in this vibrational alignment, is what Esther and Jerry Hicks talk about, in this vibrational alignment to allow you to attract what it is that you want. And I think those things are important. And then at the same time, I do think we need some of the practical knowledge of knowing exactly what to do to get the money. So I think the practical and the mindset stuff, they go hand in hand. So check out these books. I'm putting the link down below. And let me just come back here. I hope you found a little bit of use and value in what I have been talking about. And if your theory or, your belief is very different from me, I would love to hear them. Like I said, this is just what I have learned, and I thought it may be helpful to share with you. But if you have some other ideas or beliefs, please share them with me. And Over the next few weeks, I'm going to talk about the other concepts that I mentioned, such as power compounding, asset allocation, and the 5 financial goals. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, I will talk to you next week. And in the meantime, please send me some comments. And then if you do want to discuss some of these concepts with me, I'll link my calendar down below so that you can get into a call with me and see whether I can help you, whether it's in your finances or in your mental fitness mindset, or whether it's a career switch. All right. Thank you so much, and take care and stay safe. And I will talk to you next week. Bye now.